Welcome to another Rooster Talk. We're at Islandbrook Estate today here talking to Ralph Winter from Moho Resources. Ralph is going to give us an update on what's been happening with Moho since the last time we spoke. So Ralph, over to you.
Yeah, morning Noel. Thanks for having me again on this stormy day. Looks like you got a beautiful spot down there to do it in though.
Yes.
Yeah, look, we've been very busy since we last met up for coffee. A lot of news flow going out to the market from Moho's point of view. We had finished last we spoke, we had just finished our last RC drill program at East Samson Dam. And we released those results last week, which was probably mixed sort of received from the public. And I think I need to sort of clarify that a bit. So what happened was when we were drilling the last campaign there, we had targeted a few central areas of the mineralized body as we had seen them or perceived them at that point in time. And we drilled those holes. And as it turns out, there were some fault zones that were running through the body, and they actually had offset the mineralization slightly. So the holes were ever so slightly off. We still hit some good mineralization. I mean, we're still going over our economic grade that we're looking at for mining. So, you know, from that point of view, we're not concerned at all. What it has done, though, is it's given us a really good structural knowledge of what we're looking at in that area. And where we can put in the next set of holes, and we can really look and target that high grade stuff in terms of the infill. So, you know, it's a bit of a mixed bag. It's, I guess it was poorly received from the public, I think a little bit, but from our point of view, it was really a good learning curve. And it was something that had to be done. We really needed to see where the extent of the mineralization was. And now we know where that is. We can really get in there and sort of get the drilling done, the next phase of drilling, maybe phase 2, phase 3. We also provided some sort of insight into what our modeling looks like around the mineralization at the moment. And it's looking really interesting. CSA Global have been doing our modeling for us. And you can sort of see these sort of horizontal tabular structures. And they tend to sort of go down, get a bit deeper as you go down to the southeast. So it's a bit shallower in the northwest and deeper in the southeast. But what we've also got is we've defined that it's open to the north and south. And we're going to be doing some more drilling in those areas as well and see if we can extend out that mineralized body as well. So look, I mean, everything from our point of view, we're still full steam ahead. We also released our metallurgy recently, which was actually very, very good. We've got some excellent metallurgy grades. So as it turns out, about 99% of that mineralized zone is about 96% recoverable through the cyanide leach process. And from our point of view, that's sort of a great sort of a starting point. It's preliminary metallurgy, so we're going to have to do some more once we do diamond drilling and so on as well. But it's a great indicator of, you know, what we can get out of the ground and how much we can recover and how much money we can make ultimately, which is really the end game for us. We also just completed our share purchase plan. So that's the closing date for that was Friday just passed. And we'll be putting that out to market very shortly as well. So we'll have some cash in the bank. We can go do some more drilling, go and hit those high grade mineralized zones that we were talking about, but also look at extending the mineralization out around that East Samson Dam area. So look, it's exciting times for us where we're still very gung-ho about East Samson Dam, and we're going to be pushing towards that early mining proposition. The time frames are roughly the same, pretty much. We're still pushing towards hopefully getting that JORC resource done by the end of the year, maybe early next year if things slip a little bit. You never know with time frames. As it turns out, it's very difficult at the moment to get drill rigs because I suppose everybody was in lockdown with COVID, and then when the lockdown ended, everybody went, oh, we're all got to go drill now. So all the rigs are taken up, but it's also a matter of the drillers are telling us it's very difficult to actually get guys to run the rigs at the moment because quite a few of the drillers actually come from over east. So getting them in and out to actually do the work is proving to be a bit difficult with the lockdowns at the moment as well. So So look, we're navigating that as best we can. We've got a lead on a few rigs at the moment, and hopefully we'll be able to lock one in shortly. And if all goes to plan, we'll hopefully be out there drilling, in the not too distant future again. So we'll do hopefully our phase 2 to 4 within the next sort of 2 to 3 months, and then we'll sort of see how that goes. Yeah.
You mentioned your share purchase plan. You've closed that. You've as in that you received the proceeds to that, or you're just opening the offer.
No, the offer's been open and it closed on Friday. Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll be announcing, I guess, the last couple of bits and pieces we're just clearing through yesterday, and that'll be announced to the market shortly what the proceeds of that were. But it gives us enough to get our next phases of drilling done and look at really targeting the good high grade stuff at East Samson Dam and the extension drilling as well, and get some more infill drilling done, so we can really get that modeling down. So as far as the resource goes, the geologists are telling me we're looking at a pretty high confidence in the actual resource grade as well. So we're pretty happy so far with that, and I think it'll turn out to be quite positive for us. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking at your drilling results there. The one you qualified that, saying that you've now learned a bit more about the structure, which is comes with the game, I guess. I think in exploration, it's actually good to see these kind of things. If you're understanding that your results are affected by of these offsets, it's always a good thing. It shows that I guess you're understanding what you're seeing, which is, I mean, looking at the results, I mean, they're what exploration people look for, I guess. People always fall into the trap of thinking that the first phase of drilling is going to be the mother lode. Unfortunately, the truth to the matter is that that's more a rare occasion than a common occurrence.
That's right.
In exploration. I guess can you elaborate more on the metallurgical results? I guess from the layperson, that those numbers don't sort of mean much. 95% leaching, so that's the ability of the gold to be released by cyanide. That is correct.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so just under 96% of all the gold that'll go into the system, into the cyanide leach, will be able to be extracted for commercial production. So, so from our point of view, you've got a 4% loss there, but in terms of recoveries, that's actually pretty good from a mining perspective. There are other things that we're looking to test, and hopefully we can refine that a bit more. So as we refine the metallurgy itself and the processing, that'll all change slightly. But the good thing about the metallurgy is that it really indicates that what we're looking at is perfectly suited for the toll mills in the area, which you would expect, but you never quite know if that's going to be the case. So in terms of actually getting a toll milling contract with the local toll mills, it should be relatively simple, because they're not having to make any adjustments to their plant to take on the feed that we're going to be providing for them. So so that's a positive for us as well. If we had something that they couldn't process, it would be far more difficult for us to actually monetize that gold. So from that perspective, we're quite happy as well, and we're really already talking to a couple of toll mills. We've got about 11 in close proximity to us, but there's probably about 2 or 3 that really sort of stand out in terms of the discussions we've had so far. And look, we'll continue those discussions, and hopefully we'll be able to lock something in. But as per our timelines, I guess we're looking at a scoping study early next year to be released. And then following that, we'll be able to obviously get a much better idea around the toll milling and the capacities and the contracts and so on. But you got to start these discussions early on, so that you can really get something in place relatively quickly and not wait till the last minute. There's a lot of work behind the scenes that needs to be done. The toll mills need to check your metallurgy as well and make sure that they're happy with it, to put it into their system and all that kind of stuff as well. So there's that part of it as well that people don't necessarily see, but there's a lot of that sort of background stuff happening at the moment.
And in terms of your timeline, you mentioned potential JORC resource statement coming out end of this year or in the first quarter sometime. With the issues with the availability of drilling rigs, how do you see that playing out? I mean, we're in September, and I've spoken to many people in regards to this potential issue. How do you sort of factor that into your timeline? Like, you know, I remember the days in 2007 where things were really, really, well, I think now is worse than then. We were exploring with a diamond drill rig, which is not a very cost-effective way.
No.
So
Yeah.
yeah, just give us your thoughts on that concept.
Yeah, look, I guess the optimist in me says, you know, we'll hit that target towards the end of this year. But the realist sort of says, well, you know, if we're going to have issues with the drill rigs, trying to get access to drill rigs, and it also then flows on to the labs as well, right? So
Yeah.
because there's more drilling happening, the labs are slower. So the reality probably is that it'll probably drift over into early next year, which is not what we want. And we're trying to push it as hard as we can, but you can only do what you can. So really it's subject to availability of rigs and how quickly we can get it through the labs. This last set of drilling, we try to sort of expedite that process in terms of the lab assaying, and that also dragged on longer than we expected. So we'll just have to sort of see how things play out. I think once people sort of get to a bit of a base level where they got that first sort of burst out after the lockdown, maybe things will start to even out a bit and return to a little bit of a normality again. But we'll have to sort of see how that goes. So yeah, look, you're right. You know, the optimist probably says, yeah, it'll be done by the end of the year, but the realist is sitting here saying, look, you know, just bear in mind that there are other issues that you need to consider, and that'll probably mean that it might drift over into early next year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. In terms of news flow, I mean, are you able to give us, I know we spoke into a few timelines already, but just in summation, how do you see things panning out, especially with work at East Samson Dam and your other projects? You know, where's
Sure.
that Plan A's timeline in terms of
Yeah, sure.
as well? Yeah.
Yeah, so look, I guess there's a few things that have been happening. We also announced in the last few weeks, we got our water bore sampling program happening at Empress Springs in Queensland, which is funded predominantly through a grant from the government there. And while we're doing that there at the moment, we're also running an IP survey over our existing drilling, so we can sort of get a bit of a vector into where the gold mineralization might be coming from. So that'll be some information, that'll be coming out to the market probably over the next several weeks as well, once that gets processed and we get all the reports back and so on. Empress Springs has been a little bit difficult because logistically with COVID, it's been quite difficult to get in and out, our guys in and out that are sort of trained in this methodology around the sampling and so on. So we have managed to get one of our guys in there now, and he's doing a fantastic job given the circumstances. We've got our drilling, hopefully that will get started. I'm hoping it'll happen within the next 2 to 4 weeks if we can lock in a rig. Like I said, we're still talking to a few different parties around that. With Barracoppin, we're planning a drill program there as well. I don't anticipate that'll happen until probably about maybe November, December. So at the moment, the crops are out for the farmers. And really we need to sort of be able to lock down a rig and get out there as well. So there's a lot of drilling happening or will be happening once we get those rigs locked in. East Samson Dam in particular has been our focus and will be our focus. So we're also trying to lock down a diamond rig so we can get that met drilling done and also sort of target some of the deeper mineralization in that area so we can sort of see what's underneath our currently modeled mineralized body. So there's a lot of work going on. You know, it's tricky. The modeling that CSA Global have done, they've done a few preliminary models already, but every time we get new information, we feed that back to them and they refine the model, and it just really helps us get a much better understanding of what we're doing. They're also doing some hyperspectral analysis for us, so that'll give us a bit of a better idea on the actual mineralization and the geology of the area down those holes, and we're doing some downhole surveys at the moment as well. Because of the faults that we've got there, we really need to try and lock down the understanding of where those faults are running and what the geology looks like in particular. Some of the areas are a bit tricky to actually see, you know, what you've got because it's just a mass of of brown. There's no real discerning characteristics in some of the bodies. There's a bit of clay there. Nothing that's a problem in terms of the mineralization, but in terms of the exploration, it can prove a little bit difficult, I suppose. So with this hyperspectral analysis and the downhole surveys, we're hoping that'll give us a much better idea of how we can target the next phases of drilling. And with that understanding, we should be able to model the structures better and the mineralized body better as well for mining. So yeah, look, I mean, there's a lot that goes on in the background. I suppose that people don't have an insight into. And it's good to get an opportunity like this to sort of say, this is what we're doing and these are the things that are happening, so that people can see that you are doing stuff. You're not just sitting there waiting for a rig, for instance. There's a lot of other things going on at the same time. So
yeah, I think that's a very good point. Most shareholders are very impatient. I think it's in their blood, and and it's very hard for the likes of yourself to try and draw the picture of what can and can't happen and what you're actually doing, and then when you're focused on one too much, they'll lynch you for other parts. So, mate, Ralph, I fully appreciate what you're saying. Look, Ralph, I guess in summation, what would you have a quick shout out to potential shareholders, as to why they should be buying or why they should be holding your stock. In terms of, I know you've summarized many things, but if you could do it in one paragraph, what would be that? What paragraph?
In one paragraph. Look, we're still very much on track to become that self-funded explorer and producer from a gold perspective. We're very well undervalued at this point in time, I believe. Once we get the next phases of drilling done and we get the high grade results out to the market, and we get that modeling really sort of nutted down, and you can sort of see what we're looking at in terms of production, I think people are going to be happy. So the earlier people get in now, the better for them, because if we're as low as we are now and people can get in now, you're going to see a very nice uplift once we get to that point in time where we actually get to the mining stage and start generating a cash flow.
Yeah, that's fantastic, man. I like Moho's picture, because you're a typical exploration company. I think in a hot market as it is, people forget that it is all that hard yards that companies do like this before the big discovery. Everyone seems to think that big discoveries comes like chicken in plastic bags, in coal. Yeah. They've been slaughtered somewhere.
That's right. Yeah.
Ralph, thank you for participating. I hope you sort of got your message out, and till the next time, I think we got some news flows coming out for yourself. So we should have another Rooster talk then.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, thanks, Noel. I appreciate your time, and it's been good to talk to you again.